Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we will be discussing one of the new feats from Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. I forgot what it was called.
Ember of the Fire Giant.
Ember of the Fire Giants. All right,
This is
I should say that we recently covered the base feat.
Strike of the Giants.
Strike of the Giants. This is dependent on that one. That is a prerequisite for this, yes?
Yes, you have to have the Fire Strike version of Strike of Giants, and for viewers at home, basically that means you get a proficiency bonus, D10 bonus damage on hit for the entire feat. That's all you would get as the prereq is like 3 plus D10 damage on hit. You can pay it off with this, which is a feat you can take later called Ember of the Fire Giant that has a bunch of cool, interesting stuff in it. So you have to take a sub-selection of the other feat to get this. This feat says, you manifested the fiery combat emblematic of fire giants, granting the following benefits. You get an ability score increase. Increase your strength, con, or whiz by 1 to a max of 20. Any of those are important to you, and you can take them from an odd to an even. This is great. This on its own is like, okay, you don't really need that much more text to really want this on your character sheet because it's close enough to ability score improvement. And that's just good.
As we've discussed before, you need a little more.
You need something.
Yes.
This does have something. So this has Born of Flame. You have resistance to fire damage. Okay. That's a relatively common enough damage type. It's the most common of the elemental damage types I think that players end up taking, although Necrotic is sometimes in the conversation and Poison sometimes in the conversation. Mainly Poison. In any case, it also has this feature called Searing Ignition. So when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace a single attack with a magical burst of flame. Each creature of your choice in a 15-foot radius sphere centered on you makes a dexterity saving throw DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus the modifier of the ability score increased by this feat. Basically, it's going to be like a spell save DC. On a failed save, a creature takes fire damage equal to a D8 plus your proficiency bonus, and it has the blinded condition until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage only. You use your strength condition number of times you will do your proficiency bonus and regain all expended use when you finish a long rest. You also can't do this more than once a turn. So basically, instead of an attack, you can make a bubble of D8 fire damage around you that blinds things. A number of times you do proficiency bonus. This is a really unique ability, and I love that about it. I don't know exactly who wants it, but I definitely want a character that wants it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let me be clear here. We're getting ability score bump.
Yep.
Resistance to fire damage.
Yeah.
All right. You shrug that one off.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean that counts.
It does.
That's not X number of times per day or a long rest.
Yeah.
Straight up resistance to fire damage. I like that. That'll come up. Yeah. And you get this burst of flame that can blind multiple creatures.
Yes. It definitely feels to be like an ashen cloud more than a burst of fire, but maybe it's blinding. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. Yeah. It's flavorfully whatever. It's just mechanically a D8 blind.
Yeah, I like this. I think all right, now it gives you a nice suite of things, but does it give you enough to make it worth 2 feats? Yeah.
So when you consider the other one is an on-hit worse version of a smite as a feat, I'm not that impressed. That being said, I could see characters that go this direction, specifically like barbarians, fighters, even maybe some monks, where your objective is to get a little bit of smite action, and you want to hit a little bit harder and be a little bit more of the fiery kind of archetype, and you're playing in a game where you know you're doing like single encounters per long rest. If you're doing 1, maybe 2 encounters per long rest and can use all of these attacks in that encounter, they're going to feel a lot better. And whenever all you get from is D10 fire damage, you kind of want it to be every single encounter. That being said, like, if you're outside of that environment, I really dig Searing Ignition. I am really struggling to want to take a D10 fire damage as my entire feat. Like, I think that one, the only one worse than it's the knockback one. And I still probably take the knockback one over it just because at least it goes on interesting builds. It's just less usable on the majority of characters. So it's like, do you is that trade-off worth it at tables where you're looking at more than one encounter per long rest?
All right, whoa,
That's
so
tough.
is this all right, you're talking about the first feat then.
Yes.
All right. This one, that the burst of blindness, whatever it is, that's you can use that over and over again, right?
Same resource cost as the first one. It's per number of times equal to your efficiency bonus per long rest.
Oh. Okay. That makes me a little less hyped about it.
Yeah, it's not something you're doing every single round in combat,
Right.
but it's something you're doing a few times. Like at this tier, you're probably doing it twice over 2 encounters, is what that likely will look like.
Still kind of cool though. I mean, in a fight where you need it, we're blinding your opponent. Like, I'm thinking as a fighter, somebody's going to get a bunch of attacks. You hit him with this the first time, blind, get advantage on the rest of your attacks.
They have disadvantage on all their attack rolls.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and
if you're,
so do their friends in the nearby area.
Yeah, if you're the sole damage taker of the party, having a selective blind around you instead of just an attack is pretty good. You are forgoing an attack roll for it, but this will be a better version of the dodge action a lot of the time, like a very large amount of the time, especially because your allies also get advantage on all those attack rolls, right?
Yeah.
So anything that fails the save is going to have a very bad time, and if there's a good chunk of them, because this is a 15-foot radius sphere around you, that's a pretty good area, you can have some big impactful moments where you're like seriously hampering multiple enemies at once. I love this specifically on martial characters. This is a new, interesting decision for martial characters to make that varies up their play pattern fight to fight. I love this on barbarians. I love this on, again, monks, I think really surprisingly would enjoy something like this as a character that's not necessarily trying to take damage, but wants a more supportive option to embolden their allies while only having to forgo one of their 4 attacks they're making on their turn. That seems really sweet to me. Does this justify taking the fire strike? Maybe, especially at tables that aren't doing particularly like lethal encounters. If you're in tables where you can afford to not take Great Weapon Master or Sharpshooter build to keep up with other things going on, it's probably where it's gonna work best. And that is most tables. I really do want to get to this feat. I do definitely think there's a struggle to make that happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of us have looked in it deeply enough to figure out exactly what kind of build wants this, but I think there's some out there that can have fun with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're a character that's like, I'm fine with my feat being 3 instances of 1d10 bonus damage on hit, and that's the kind of player you are, this will be a great upgrade to go into. If you're the kind of player like me that really wants to optimize and juice for a specific angle every element of their character, whether that be narrative or mechanical or, any of the other dozen things that I look for when making my characters, it is a really tall order to sell a feat. Like, you don't get a lot of those, especially if you're doing multi-class nonsense, and I just like 2? I need to spend 2 feats for this?
Well, maybe that's another point towards fighter. They get more feats.
True.
Oh.
I'm envisioning, again, like a Way of Shadows or 4 Elements monk that's like full embodiment of flame, or like dusk and ash and shadow, just like zipping around and like making big clouds of blindness, and that seems really cool to me. Barbarian also is an obvious option too. Things that won't take damage. Paladin, if you really, really want to go hard on nuking things from orbit, why not stack a d10 damage on that from your feet and then get this blind area too if you want it? That's pretty neat. Especially if you ever on a paladin, you're like, I don't want to smite with this attack, throwing up the blind area then sets up your next attack if you do want to smite. So you can help fish for crits that way with the blind condition. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. There are, I think, almost every martial character could find a reason to want this on their character sheet, especially because, like, even if you are, side by side other martial characters, you can selectively sculpt them out of it, which is so good. Yeah, it's creatures of your choice in the area.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So good. All right. Yeah.
All right. That sways me a little more in its favor now.
It seems excellent. I think this feat seems really, really solid. I've talked myself up on it a lot.
It just comes at a cost of another feat that's not as amazing.
Yeah. Another feat that's like fine. Like, it's not great, but it's free damage at no action cost. Yeah, sure. If you're doing not many encounters, it's a lot better than if you're doing a lot of encounters. Yeah. If you're doing 3 or 4 encounters, it's basically unusable. If you're doing 1 encounter, it's pretty fine. Pretty fine isn't really a high ceiling for a feat, but this is a feat that I would regularly want on a good swath of characters. So I think I'm going to tend to give it a 4. if you can stomach taking a D10 fire damage, and that's like cool with you. I know there are definitely people out there that'll be like, I'm not spending a feat on 1d10 fire damage 3 times per long rest. No, thank you. No feat could be worth that. And I think there would be characters that I would build where as long as I'm starting in the mid game, I wouldn't really have an issue with that. If I'm starting at level 4 though, and you tell me to take a feat that is D10 fire damage, I'm like, no.
This is another one of those opposite days for the Caverns and Creatures YouTube channel. I'm gonna go a little more negative. I'm not too bad. I'm gonna give it a 3, but just yeah, the cost of another feed really hampers it for me. Also, I need to coax Wizards to give me a little bit more. I'm expecting more from these other feats. So woo me, Wizards.
I have bad news. We might have already touched the best one.
Oh God.
There are some other ones that are decent, but there are some stinkers.
The best one in your opinion, or the best one inevitably in my opinion? So
that's a really good question. We'll find out.
Yep.
Readers at home, buckle up. It's going to be exciting
Stay
to see which of these Bob thinks are the best.
Yep. All right. Well, that was remind me one more time.
Ember of the Fire Giant.
Ember of the Fire Giant. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Exciting times we live in.
New
all
feats.
right.
Let's do it.
Like and subscribe and all that. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.